Je suis présentement devant la station de ravitaillement pour les fourgons de service qui fonctionnent à l'hydrogène. Cet hydrogène provient de l'île Edie, qui est un peu plus loin en retrait ici. C'est à l'endroit où il y a un banc d'essai de marée motrice, celui de 2 MW entre autres. Puis avec cette production électrique, ils produisent de l'hydrogène vert. Elle est acheminée ici à la station. C'est encore une expérience, c'est expérimental, c'est pas un projet définitif, mais c'est juste pour démontrer comment les renouvelables peuvent vraiment aider à la transition et de quitter les hydrocarbures. Ici, aux Orcades, c'est vraiment leur objectif, c'est de décarboner tout ce qu'ils peuvent. C'est un début de projet ici. Ça va continuer. Là. Il reste le traversier qui veulent faire, mais ils ont des problèmes avec les instances gouvernementales sur la conversion. Mais ça, c'est une autre histoire que j'ai en entrevue avec M. Neil Kermode qui m'y explique un peu. C'est un imbroglio, si on veut appeler ça de même. Let's talk a little bit of hydrogen, green hydrogen.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have on the island of Edie.
We'd say ED, but
Edie, okay.
Yeah.
A generator. I think it's 500 kilowatts.
Yeah, we just upgraded it. It's a 650 now. 650 kilowatt electrolyzer.
Okay,
yeah.
650. And what are you doing with the hydrogen when you're producing it?
So the reason we're producing it is that the grid is very small here. The grid was designed to bring power to 20,000 people. It wasn't designed for us to power 60 million people. You know, the cables are quite small. So we've got to a stage where we filled the grid up locally. So we found we had to do something else with it. The power we were going to be producing, because the 2 megawatt tidal turbines, I was getting to a point where we couldn't take more machines on the site. So I've only got a 4 megawatt grid capacity. So we thought, right, what else can we do? So we started to look at hydrogen. We realised quite quickly that we could make hydrogen from tidal energy, and then and that can absorb more energy, and therefore we can put more tidal turbines in. But as you say, you've got to do something with the stuff. So we looked at a variety of projects, and the first one we came up with was working out how we could supply power to the ferries when they tie up at night. So we've got a number of ferries that operate within the islands, and there are 9 locally owned ferries, owned by the local council. There's another privately owned local ferry, and 3 other ones which come to and from the islands. And so we looked at whether we could supply power to those at night. And so the first one we're working on is just for 3 of the medium-sized ferries. We've got a fuel cell, or 3 fuel cells in a container, and those provide power to some of the ships when they tie up alongside at night. And that was really the first step, because we had to work our way into this whole process of working with the marine industries. So the regulator here is the Maritime Coast Guard Agency. They're very keen to make sure things are very safe, and so there were problems because there are no real rules about putting hydrogen onto ships. So we did the nearest thing we could do, is like put it on the shore and the cable to the ship when it tied up alongside. That was the first step, and then as part of that, we then organised the equipment we've got on shore to be usable as a training rig, to then build a training course to train mariners in the use of hydrogen on ships, and build a course around that, so that when we can get consent to put hydrogen on the ship from the regulator, we've got trained people, we've got the ship, we've got the hydrogen, all the pieces of the jigsaw come together. And that's the thing we've been working on really hard.
So you're really preparing yourself to switch to hydrogen when you're going to be able to put them on the boats, because yesterday you told me that you have issues with the regulator concerning converting the boats into hydrogen.
Yeah, and it's really because the regulator doesn't have any rules on this at the moment. We're always pushing at the edge, going, well, could we do this? Could we do that? And generally, the answer is not really at the moment. It'll take a while, and that's a problem. So, but the sooner we get on with these challenges, the sooner we can break through. So, give you an idea that the big shipping that comes to these islands emits 14% of our total carbon emissions. So if we can decarbonise shipping, that's a big win. our local internal ferries about another 1.5%. So we want to get after this because it's a useful contribution to net zero. But we've got to find a way to do it that works within the regulatory allowances. So we've been looking at what we can do there, trying to get hydrogen afloat, so working out how you move it from shore to the vessel, making sure it's all safe. But we've also been looking at other areas because there's a lot of aviation that goes on here as well. So there are flights between the islands and flights to and from Orkney. And so we've been looking at some projects there about putting hydrogen both into the airport to run its electricity system and heating for the airport. So we've got a combined heat and power unit at the airport. But we're also working with companies who are building hydrogen-powered aircraft. And so they're using hydrogen direct to make electricity, to make the plane go. And also we've done some work locally about making synthetic gasoline from hydrogen, and that being used to power a plane as well. Okay. So there's a lot of things. Hydrogen enables you to do a lot. Mm-hmm. But it's also interesting because battery technology has really come along.
Yeah, it's going fast. So, my other question is about that.
Yeah.
Is there because today there's the batteries people and there's the hydrogen people. Yeah. Everybody's pushing their technology, and for hydrogen you have to use electricity to make it, and it's like you're losing energy there. And then converting into H2. That's the argument we're always hearing. Yeah. But what's your viewpoint with these two technology? Where do you think you're going with this?
I mean, I'm always a believer in looking at where you agree and then work out how important the disagreement pieces are. So I think the piece we all agree is we're going to stop burning fossils. That's not going to be happening anymore. And what else are we going to do? Basically, everything's probably going to be electricity at some point. So renewables generally produce electricity. So we're going to end up with something that's electrically based, and we'll probably use that electricity directly where we can. So I've got an electric car, it's great, had it 5 or 6 years, it's fine. It does exactly what I need. I don't need anything more. Thank you, it works. Do I need hydrogen? No. For a car. But that's just the sort of car I need and the area I'm in. Will we need hydrogen for really long distance for cars? Well, maybe, but the likes of Tesla and similar are showing that really electric cars are doing what hydrogen cars are trying to do as well. So I'm not really convinced we're going to see much need for hydrogen cars. I think electric cars are going to do it, and the changing battery technologies and the improvement in chargers mean that the cars will charge fast enough. I mean, I'm of an age where I don't need a 250 mile range battery, so I don't have a 250 mile range bladder. I have to stop, and then get out and have another cup of coffee and just, So it's not really too much of a problem. So if you can do it every 5 miles, it's a problem. Every 250 miles, that's great. Mm-hmm. So I think we're going to see a lot of electric. So we may even see electric ferries doing a lot of the internal things. And then the ferries that come to and from the islands, I think that's too big for batteries. Mm-hmm. So I think we'll see other fuels. And then the question is, what will be those fuels? Will there be straight hydrogen? Or will there be things made from hydrogen? We believe that actually we'll see fuels made from hydrogen because they're easier to store, they're easier to handle, and I think they're safer in large volumes. So we're used to storing large amounts of hydrocarbons, and we do it pretty safely around the world. And I think we'll probably find that storing hydrocarbons made from hydrogen and non-fossil carbon will be some of the things we'll do. Okay. So I suspect that's where that's going to go.
So it's going to be for big things. Hydrogen is going to be used for huge amount of energy you need to displace a boat or a car, yes. Not a car, but a truck, a train.
Yes.
Something big.
And whether it will be just hydrogen or hydrogen bolted to something, like hydrogen bolted to nitrogen to make ammonia, or bolted to carbon to make a hydrocarbon, I don't know. There'll be hydrogen in there, sure about that. Will it be hydrogen just on its own or attached to something? I suspect it's probably going to be attached.
Okay, yeah, and I read in the news on the internet that you're going to have a hydrogen hub where at Scapa Bay, that's it, where there's the big complex of hydrocarbons, car plant. Is it going forward, or is it just we're still talking about it?
No, there are ideas. In fact, it's just visible in front of me, just out of the window there.
Okay.
It's on the island of Flotta, and there's a thing there that's planned where the existing oil terminal that's taken 10% of the UK's oil from North Sea oil is looking to reshape itself, and it's looking at what options it's got. And I think that I know there are plans to take energy from a new offshore wind farm and turn it into hydrogen. So the question is, how do you do that? How do you make the business stack up? How do you make this all come together? But it's looking very, very promising. And it's a very different conversation now to as it was 10 years ago, when nobody really wanted to know.
Okay.
Nobody wanted to know about hydrogen. Now everybody's interested.
Oh yeah, I mean it's the big thing. It's almost a Klondike thing.
Well, exactly, and it's funny you say that, because the thing we always say is it's the people who make the money in a gold rush are not the people digging the gold. They're the people who sell them the shovels.
Exactly.
You know, so in our case, you know, we've got the space.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of the things you're going to need. You're going to need some land. You're going to want some people. You got all that supply chain stuff. That's where the real benefit's going to come. Exactly how it's going to get used. Well, we'll flex. We'll change. You know, and that's the important thing.
Okay. Is there a ammonia project that's coming along here, or you're?
Well, there are discussions about what to do, and whether it should be ammonia, or whether it should be synthetic hydrocarbons. So we've already done some stuff, made some synthetic gasoline here. A client working on our site with our hydrogen has made synthetic hydrocarbons. So we've done that. We know we could do some stuff with ammonia, but it really depends on whether there's the market for it. And the thing with ammonia is it's still about 8 times the volume of hydrocarbon fuels. So if the space for the fuel is a challenge, that's going to be difficult. So I find it hard to see how we're going to use ammonia for aviation.
Okay.
I can see it for shipping, because you can increase the size. It's easier to do. So, but we'll see, because mixing ammonia with, given it sort of it's toxic and it's bleaching and it's poisonous aspects, it feels like that might have a space probably for big heavy shipping that hasn't got many people on it. Will we use it for cruise liners where there's a couple of thousand people and a lot of ammonia? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
No, I'm not sure either. So we're open to ideas if people have got ideas to make it work, because we know, as I said, we're going to have renewables. We're going to have the electricity, and we're going to have the need. And how do we fill the gap? And that's the question. We don't exactly know.
Okay.